What's up, everyone? It's Dave from the Medal of Honor channel, and we're doing another episode of 6 Records. This is 6 records with Banshees for vocals. Now, if you don't know what a banshee is basically a mythological being that supposedly screams really loud at the time of your death. Usually we refer to anyone with a high-pitched scream as banshees. So as you can imagine, we're going to be doing a lot of 80s albums here. I don't know what it was about the 80s, but for some reason everyone wanted to get their vocals higher and high-pitched, and I guess they felt that it sounded a little more like it could conjure the devil if you could sing really high-pitched. And there was a lot of falsetto vocals. A falsetto voice is really, it's a high pitch, but it's not really from the diaphragm. It's not from, you know, the powerful point in your lungs here. It's really more from the back of the throat and the top of the head. And you figure out how to do it, you can get some really high range. So of course, like I said, in the 80s, a lot of bands were doing it. So let's just talk about 6 records that are great bands to listen to with Banshees for vocals. Let's start off with number 6, Grim Reaper. These guys really, I mean, they had one song that anybody ever knew of. It was the title track, See You in Hell. This album came out in 1984, and you know, really high-pitched vocals in some of the choruses here, especially, like I said, the title track. There's a couple other good songs on here. Wrath of the Ripper, that's actually a really good song, and it's quite obvious that they were very influenced by Judas Priest when they wrote that, not only because of the title, but just the sound of the song itself. They didn't really take off after this. The thing about this album is, if you're a musician, you can hear some bad timing fluctuations on it. Actually, the song Liar, the intro is just kind of fucked as far as I'm concerned, as far as the timing goes. Even Now or Never, not very good. So there's only a couple good songs on here, but it's very iconic when it comes to thinking about high-pitched singers and metal bands. And of course, you know, you had to get the word hell in there just to be that much tougher. So yeah, number 6, Grim Reaper, See You in Hell. For number 5, let's go with Merciful Fate. Here is the Don't Break the Oath album. Yeah, you've heard me say before, I wasn't a huge fan of Merciful Fate, although I do actually have quite a bit of respect for the band, and he definitely is more of a falsetto. It's not really a powerful vocal, it's more of a head sound. Like I said, you know, to me it comes a little cartoonish, but it was the times, and I do get that. And there's some cool stuff on here. Nightmare is a song that I actually really like a lot on here. Also, Come to the Sabbath, that was a cool one too. So, you know, again, Merciful Fate, I mean, they had their place in metal, and it was an important one, influenced a lot of people. So I don't think that I could make a list of people who sing with high-pitched vocals and not include King Diamond in there somewhere. So I'm going to stick with Merciful Fate. This is Don't Break the Oath at number 5. Number 4, I mean, this list is kind of writing itself, you know, you almost know what's coming. A lot of these are just kind of pretty obvious, but I guess they kind of should be also, right? So for number 4, we'll go with Iron Maiden, Live After Death. Now, true, in the studio, he's probably a lot more capable of getting the power behind his vocals, but I think that this is really good evidence that, I mean, Bruce Dickinson is an amazing vocalist, even live, and you've seen this guy on stage, and you know he runs around like a maniac the whole concert, still to this day, and he's just got a powerhouse of vocals. This is, of course, Live After Death is just one of the most iconic live metal albums. And so many fucking good songs. All the great old early songs are on here. Of course, Aces High, Rhyming the Ancient Mariner, Power Slave, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Number of the Beast, The Trooper, Flight of Icarus. Oh, it's a lot of great music. And, you know, again, this is one of those ones that's kind of cool to look through and go down memory lane. And again, they're still doing it. The guy still sings, you know, not quite what he had before, but I mean, it's still an amazing singer live, and still an amazing show live. So, absolutely had to have Iron Maiden in the list somewhere, so I just thought, why not? Let's go with the live album, Live After Death, number 4. Alright, for number 3, I had to have some Judas Priest, of course, in there, and God, there's so much that we could have gone with. Obviously, when it comes to Banshees, I mean, I could have done Screaming for Vengeance. That's a great one, of course. And, you know, any Judas Priest album is good, right? You know, I could have gone with British Steel, though that's not so much in the high pitch range, but still great album. You know, just so many ways that Judas Priest has influenced other bands, as I discussed earlier, and let's face it, they really established themselves as a powerhouse throughout the 70s and the 80s, and it didn't stop there, so I gotta go with Painkiller for number 3. Painkiller, this is just a great album. The guitars are really heavy on this, a really nice sound to the whole production on it, and I mean, right off the bat, with the title track, you know, aside from that killer drum intro and then just how heavy the guitars are, right away Rob Halford just goes and shows why he is the metal god. He does the high-pitched vocals throughout the whole song here, and it's just, oh, they're super strong, and it's, I mean, fairly terrifying, so it really works with the whole metal vibe. But I mean, there's a lot of great songs on here also. I really like Nightcrawler as well. Of course, Hell Patrol, A Touch of Evil even is really cool. It's, you know, for one of the Mellower songs. All of these songs are really good. Metal Meltdown. This is a badass album, and I had to have Judas Priest on there, and I just thought, you know what? For me, this one really works well. So, Judas Priest, Painkiller, number 3. Alright, for number 2, I'm going to go with one of my all-time favorite albums. And I don't think I've ever discussed this album on any of the other shows I've done, but it really is, you know, probably top 5-6 favorite albums of all time. Queensryche's Rage for Order. Oh, I love this album. It is a beautiful album. It taught me a lot about music. I got this, well, this was a 1986 release. I got this when I was in high school through Columbia House. I got, you know, whatever, 20 cassettes for a penny, and this was one of them that I got. And really changed my view on what's possible in music. I mean, talking about amazing twin leads. The music writing in general was just great, but their use of sound effects and sound bites and voiceovers. The only band that I ever heard do anything like that before was maybe like Pink Floyd, but I'd never heard anything like this, especially listening to this album on headphones, you know, as a kid who's really just discovering music. This blew my mind, and of course, the vocals on here. I mean, I'm sorry, but nobody had a range and a power like Jeff Tate. Just fucking amazing vocalist, and also really, this album is really gothic. You know, even though, like, they probably got lumped into hair metal by some people later, especially when they got popular with the Empire album. But this album in particular, I Dream in Infrared, Walk in the Shadows, London, I love that song. Screaming in Digital, I mean, there was a weird technical / gothic vibe to this whole album. Even the way the guys looked there, I mean, they looked like fucking vampires. But yeah, as far as Banshees go, Jeff Tate, fuck, great album. If I had to be stranded on an island with only a couple of albums in my hands, this would definitely be one of them. So, number 2, Queensryche, Rage for Order. And finally, for number 1, I think you know where I'm going, right? I'm always trying to find a way to put Rush into my list. Let's go this time with some old school Rush. This is Fly By Night. Of course, I mean, anybody knows, especially with old Rush, the vocals, very strong but very high-pitched. When their debut album came out, a lot of people actually mistook them when they heard it on the radio for Led Zeppelin. And, you know, I think most people who were really into Zeppelin probably didn't really appreciate that too much, but just because, you know, a lot of people had a hard time adapting to Geddy's sound, and I understand that. I mean, I didn't initially really like Rush that much, and so their old stuff, it took me a while to get more into that, especially as I got into the music, but phenomenal playing on this album, and it was a huge change from their debut album, which of course was more Zeppelin guitar kind of style, and more straight ahead rock. And with this one, of course, they got Neil Peart in the band, and he was helping not only play percussion and become more progressive, but also he was writing the lyrics, and that really changed things for the band. Great stuff on here, of course. Anthem, Beneath, Between, and Behind, Making Memories, Rivendell, but my favorite, absolute great song, Bytor and the Snow Dog. This is almost 9 minutes of just blistering progression that, you know, was unlike anything they'd played on their first album at all, and of course some super high-pitched vocals on there. Definitely a Banshee found in Geddy Lee. My choice for number one has got to be Rush's Fly By Night. All right, so let's do the countdown. Number 6, Grim Reaper, See You in Hell. Number 5, Merciful Fate, Don't Break the Oath. Number 4, Iron Maiden, Live After Death. Number 3, Judas Priest with the Painkiller. Number 2, Queensryche, Rage for Order. And the number 1 record with Banshees for vocals, going with Geddy Lee and Rush, Fly By Night. That's my list and I'm sticking to it, but listen, I would love to hear what your list is. I know there's a lot of other bands that I could have put on this list, a lot of 80s stuff, especially high-pitched stuff that could have gone in here, but I'd like to hear what you think. So if you would, make a list and put it down in the comments, or send me a message and let me know what your list is. Send it to medalofhonorshow@gmail.com. And of course, if you wouldn't mind, I really appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe, and by all means, please share this and spread the word around. Let's hear what other people think. And I hope you're enjoying the show. And until next time, keep the horns up, keep the needle down.